Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. My name is Masaru Ikeda from the Bleach, which is Tokyo-based startup news publication. So we're going to talk about, in this session, future of services, reading the change. So many people think that, typically think that when you were asked that, who will be taking an important role in the changing the whole society into the digital age, actually. Many people say that it's going to be startup, maybe, right? But there's also other guys, like the big guys, big corporation or giants. Those kind of guys are also, they will be also taking an important role, playing an important role in terms of changing the whole society. So we have the three great speakers from the great companies. Two guys of them are, I think, known IT industry, maybe, right? Two of them, I'm not sure. And one guy is from the tech giant. So I'm curious about what they are think about, or what they think about how they can change the whole society into so that we can more how they say the fit to the digital age. So let me start off with Josh. Would you like to introduce yourself and what's your role in your organization right now?
Right, so I'm Jayson from Changi Airport.
Sorry, Jayson. Sorry that.
Right, and I look after the airport operations. So the next time you visit Changi Airport, I'm basically taking care of your journey, right, all the way from the moment you arrive at the airport to the moment you step onto the aircraft. So anything in between, that's the way we look at it. Yes.
So let me ask you that typically the people think that big companies are relatively slow in terms of deploying the digital technology into their organization. So what's your comment on that? What do you think?
Well, I don't know, when you say big company, do you consider Changi Airport as a big company? So I think for digital transformation, it is not entirely determined by the size of the company. I think very much is driven by what the company needs to do to better serve the customer that you have. Right. So if I take Changi Airport as an example, the digital transformation for us happened constantly, and in fact, I would say that the pace of transformation hastened in the last couple of years. For some of us who may be familiar, the major change in terms of passenger experience and the journey and how we use technology to enhance that is driven by the example of the implementation of the fully self-service system in 2017 when we operationalized the new Terminal 4. And one thing that is very obvious from that is that the technology that's being used allows the passenger to fundamentally decide or design the journey that he or she is taking as he goes through she goes through the airport. From a very conventional way of going through the airport processes to one that is actually self-service and at the same time being supported by a customer agent, right? So you almost realize that in the airport, what people don't really like is to just stand behind queues and wait for something to happen. But the self-service system, right, actually allow passengers almost to design his or her journey on demand. I decide when I want to check in, when I want to drop my bag, when I go through the immigration, and subsequently even for boarding the aircraft is also automated. So that actually gives the passenger a lot of autonomy in deciding on that, and that fundamentally, because the technology enable that kind of transformation in the passenger experience going through the airport.
Thank you for that. So next up, move on to Derek from Alibaba Crowd. So you're in charge of the operation here in Singapore. So what do you do here? Because your dominant market is China, right? So what do you do here? You specifically, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here?
Okay. My name is Derek Wang. I'm the general manager for Alibaba Cloud Singapore. So you know Alibaba dominates Chinese market in terms of the e-commerce or online market and financial services and some logistics. So for us, we have a strategy for the globalization. So we would like to expand our business not only in China, but also outside China. So we will use our cutting-edge technology. So in e-commerce, accumulated coming from e-commerce, coming from financial services, coming from logistics, and we can serve in Southeast Asia, even US and Europe. So for Southeast Asia, for ASEAN country, so this is a very young country. They have a lot of young generations. For the people, for Indonesia, they have over 1 billion, so 100 million population, and for Malaysia and India. So this is a very huge, high potential market. So Alibaba would like to serve all this country, all this area, and we look at Singapore as our international headquarters for Alibaba Group. So Singapore is the hub for the whole ASEAN area. So we set up our office in Singapore, and we can cover all the ASEAN countries, so including Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and some other countries.
So, as you probably know, you have many competitors, right? Especially in the web cloud services like the Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. Those kind of guys are very outstanding everywhere, even in Japan, my country. So, how do you differentiate your service from the other competitors here? Can you describe that?
Okay, very good question. I always ask myself. Okay. So I think that this is a new era for the digitalization. So in the future, all the economy, all the enterprise will become a digital company or digital economy, and every company will become an internet company. So right now there is an industry called the internet industry, but in the future there is no industry, internet industry, because every enterprise, every traditional enterprise will embrace internet, will embrace the new technology. So this is what we are doing, and what we have done in China. We accumulate a lot of experience in China. How can we serve over 700 million consumers in China on the internet? So how can we, for example, for the financial service, we have a free 10, means every people, they only need 3 minutes to apply the mini loan, very, very small loan. So from $1 to $1 million, only 3 minutes online to fill in the form. And then 1 second, it will get approved, and 0 human being will be involved. So this is a technology based on the internet and big data and AI. So we have already accumulated such an ability, and we try to serve the other industries, not only for internet business. So we built up the DAMO. DAMO is a research academy. So they have a lot of scientists in different areas, such as quantum computing, such as AI, such as robotics, and some other cutting-edge technology. So this is our differentiators compared to the other cloud providers, such as Microsoft and Azure and Amazon. So we have very good experience and practice in retail, in logistics, in finance, but this area, so Amazon and Microsoft doesn't have, and they won't share the knowledge. So for us, we can share this knowledge to our customers, to our partners. So these are the differentiators. And then the other thing is that AI technology. Every company talking about AI, so machine learning, deep learning. But for Alibaba, we built up our AI platform we call the ET brand, which is an AI platform, but not just pure technology. It's aiming to solve the real business problems. So for the ET brand, we have a city brand, which can be already used for the city management. How can we reduce the congestion? How can we increase the traffic speeds in the city? And we also have some financial brand, so can help the fintech companies. And we have some manufacturing brands. So these are some AI applications aiming to different vertical industries. And this is our differentiators compared to the other companies such as Google, such as Microsoft.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, it's very good opportunity to learn about what you're doing. So next up, Chris from CapitaLand. So CapitaLand is probably well-known company for those living here in Singapore, but for those coming from outside Singapore, I think it's not so common. So would you like to introduce yourself and what's your business here?
So hi everyone, I'm Chris from CapitaLand Retail. So currently I'm managing quite a few properties in the Singapore portfolio. So today we have 19 operational shopping centers from Ion Orchard to Raffles City to Bugis Junction, Plaza Singapura. And tomorrow is actually a very special day for us because we'll be opening our 20th shopping mall, which is the redevelopment, the reopening of Funan. So to all the Singaporeans, thank you. So to all the Singaporeans, you might remember Funan as one of the locations where you used to get your tech fix, like your semiconductor components, the computer peripherals. But the relaunch of Funan is going to be quite special because what we always say in retail is that we don't really care how much you know until you show how much you care, right? So to show how much we really care, before we started the redevelopment of Funan about 3 years back, we engaged the authorities, we engaged the different stakeholders, we spoke to a lot of retailers, we spoke to shoppers, right? And find out what exactly do you wish to see in the future of retail. So when Funan opens tomorrow, we'll see that we have technologies like facial recognition, we have robotic automation of click and collect, we will have the integration of recommendations in the smart directories that you can find all around the mall. And we will also have the first standalone Taobao store in Singapore, which is a collaboration with one of the local companies featuring products which will be specially curated for Singaporeans. And how would we know that these products are really suitable for Singaporeans? Is really because of the kind of big data that we have from operating and running close to 20 shopping centers. I would say that the future of retail is really, even though we are not a IT company, we work a lot with them. And the key difference is that we know retail best. So what we bring to the table is we are able to advise the kind of data attributes that are important and relevant to retail. If you talk to most of the IT companies, right, probably they will say that what's important is to find out whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, your age. But honestly, do we really care today whether you're a man or woman? Do we really care how old you are? Because what's really important is what do you buy, right? What color do you like? So I think all these is really going to be more and more important as we converge between brick and mortar and the digital world into a brick and clicks kind of environment.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your efforts about how do I say deploying the digital technology into your business actually? So do you are you making it available using your in-house team, or you're collaborating with the third-party vendors, or what else, especially startups, or how do you make it possible? How do you do that?
Okay, so as I mentioned, we are not an IT company. So our core business is really in property development and in construction and really developing the shopping business. So we like to work with companies, and where technology is concerned, it is an area where you really need it to be an open platform, because there's no point developing a technology which every retailer has its own solution. If you go to one shop and then you go to the next shop, just to click and collect, just to order, is a different way of using. So kind of like maybe phones, if you are used to a certain way of calling or of messaging, then you probably want to see some kind of standard usage. So we welcome partnerships with all companies. Ourselves, we see ourselves as a platform operator where we put to the table the access to the community of shoppers. We find out what they like, how do we service them, but in terms of technology, this is an area that we would like all partners to work on. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think we can probably see the question from the audience here, but there's nothing up here. So would you like can we help? Can anyone help us to see what will be coming from the audience? So anyway, let's move on to the next question. All right. So the similar question to Jayson. So you are also working with other companies for deploying the digital technology into your service. So do you have any system or any program scheme in terms of the collaborating with startups or entrepreneurs?
Sure. So, what Chris was talking about, CapitaLand not being a technology company. Actually, I would say Changi Airport Group is not a technology company either. We are an airport management company. But we do work with many partners, big companies, medium-sized SME, or even startups in the more recent years. The reason is because if you imagine an airport like Changi serving 60 over million passengers a year, it's almost functioning like a mini city. And the type of technology that we need to adopt to really enhance the passenger experience, to achieve the kind of efficiency for the PAX as they were going through the airport is critical. I mentioned about the self-service system earlier, but I must qualify that without the implementation or the maturing of facial recognition capability that's also provided by some of the tech companies to be integrated into the system, the fast automated system for checked-in probably cannot work. Right? So that, I think, is a good example where some of these enabling technology are provided by partners, but how do you actually adapt them into an airport process? So if you do a call-out for technology startup, you may have technology looking for an application. I think that is exactly where we work with them to adapt a certain invention or a certain technology for a better use in the airport environment. So that is one. I mean, we also use vision analytics for queue management so that we can tell you how long the taxi queue is going to be or how long the wait will be, whether there are other opportunity for you to try other kind of ground transportation. So I think increasingly, some of these new technology emerging are being adapted for trials so that you can actually build a pilot program or an MVP to see whether it works for us. The good thing for startup companies that is in this space is you will find a ready user if the pilot is successful. Because we have a challenge that we're trying to solve, and hopefully, from the adaptations and the trial that we run, it will bring value to the company as well as for us because you have solved a problem and therefore there's a ready buyer. Yeah.
Okay, good to know that. So you're managing the airport and you're managing the property, right? So you guys, both of you have the bunch of data in terms of the what kind of demographics the passengers or shoppers are coming to your venue, right? So do you have any the open platform or something like that? So something like that, so that the other entrepreneurs or startups can utilize it. For creating the new products or services. Who wants to take it? You?
Well, I guess data is good to have, but not necessarily every piece of data is useful or is able to create value. So I think when you talk about data, you've got to focus very clearly on how the data will help you achieve is either a better service or a better efficiency. I'll give you an example, right? One piece of data that is very important for the entire airport operation actually is not new to any one of us. It's really flight information, right? At this hour, how many flights are coming in and what is the expected number of arriving passenger. So if you think about how do you best use this piece of data to make sure that the arriving passenger coming to Singapore is getting the best experience upon arrival, right? So you imagine, right? First is immigration. Next is baggage claim. Then ground transportation to go home. Now, if you have a piece of data that is able to tell your ground operations, from immigrations to baggage services, that at this hour you expect this number of people arriving, and therefore you plan your manpower accordingly. Now, trust me, all our taxi uncles in Singapore know how to use this piece of data to decide when to go to the airport, because they don't want to stay in a long queue waiting for the passenger to come. But they know when are the peak for arrival passenger, they go. Now, that kind of efficiency, firstly for the individual, translate into a great experience for the passenger. Now, that is a good example where the data is deployed purposefully, right, that benefits a lot of people in the entire ecosystem. Now, if you keep collecting, another piece of data, for example, right, you probably will know all the nationalities that's flying through Changi, right, based on the airline they're coming through or whatever. But today, if you don't have a good use of that piece of data, just knowing that piece of data may not help you, right? Unless you're trying to customize a certain product or services that specializes, that's special to a certain group of visiting passenger coming into the airport. So I think when you talk about big data, we have to be very discerning, else the cost of collecting and managing the data actually is quite high. Yeah.
So in the area of retail, we always focus on what best experience that we can bring to the retailers and also the shoppers. So Andy Warhol used to say that in the future, everybody will have their 5 minutes of fame. And that really happened when, with internet, with handphones, everybody can just take videos and then they can become their own mini celebrities overnight, right? So where retail is concerned, what we are trying to do now is to bring forth a platform whereby from today onwards, when we launch in Funan, what we call the Tree of Life, these are pods that feature flexible arrangements. It comes as a plug and play, meaning that you just need to bring your goods and you can start selling. You can bring your own products. The POS is there, the analytics is there, all the shopper traffic is already done all by us. All you need to do is really to plug in. And this really represents a huge opportunity for all the different IT companies who wishes to provide more insights. Do you want to have more analytics? As Jayson mentioned, data is not information. We need to be very selective and discerning what kind of information would you like. And then how do you make use of this data to draw more traffic, whether it's on social media, whether it's on the big digital screens, are you going to make your screens interactive, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say the platform that we are putting forth to the public is really an open platform for anyone and everyone to be your own retail. You want to be a retailer for 1 day, for 3 months, for 1 year, is all good. Yeah.
So we have a bunch of the people over here. So many of the people here are probably entrepreneurs who might be interested in working with you guys, actually. So do you have any specific process in terms of how they can apply for working with you? So do you have any procedural kind of things? No? No idea on that? You have a website or kind of things, or I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously you have to be good. So there will be always a process whereby we are open to discuss. We get all the proposals, and contrary to what a lot of people might think, we do have a budget constraint. So we would like to just be efficient in deploying the best resources in the shortest time possible. Time to market is very important for retail, because if the project that you're coming to us with is going to take 1 year, 2 years, sometimes it might be a little bit too long. Sometimes it's not about, where technology is concerned, it's not about perfecting. There's never a good time to launch a technology, but it's always about the execution. Yeah.
Well, what about you? You have any?
Well, I guess we have tried to have hackathons. So we did 2 hackathons, one here in Singapore, I guess 2 years ago, and then one in San Francisco, just to test, when Changi Airport calls for a hackathon, whether people really participate, right? It's an investment of time and effort as well. Secondly is that if you think that your technology is suited for a airport environment, or if you're a passenger, actually I always share with the companies that what is the best check whether you think you will be a good player in the airport ecosystem is put yourself in the shoe of a passenger. And what is the friction you want to solve the next time you travel to an airport, and whether the technology that you are bringing from your company can solve that part. Chances are you have you have a probably higher probability of participating in a trial or a pilot program that we will call. And from time to time, we do have a call for proposal where we will then let a few companies try their technology on a set of problem statement or a sandbox that we have created. One example that we have been trying now, I mean, if any of you all out there are in this space, is called semantic analysis. We receive thousands of feedbacks from our beloved passenger every day. But to really sift through the information, to know how to position ourselves to better serve them the next time, we're talking about future of services, is a very laborious process, right? For all of you all who have to read feedback notes that's coming in. But we take every one of them very seriously. If your passengers or your customers are willing to give feedback, at least they love you or they bother, right? Those that don't really care about you, they just don't use your service the next time, right? So that's why it's important to us. So we actually sift through all those things, but it's a large number of passengers going through and the customer feedback that we get. So if that part of it can use a semantic analysis to do, right? They understand the nuancing. You know, sometimes I tell people, you don't have to go to the detail of doing semantic analysis yet, but you have to tell me whether this is a positive or a negative feedback. That is already a first step, right? So that is an example where we're happy to work with different people. We have a set of questions or sample that you can run your software through, right? And if we can find the one that really gives us the best accurate read of the feedback, then we probably have a solution somewhere. So I think from time to time we do call out for such proposal, and that's where we think startups can actually take part as well. And also to all the entrepreneurs out here, won't tell you what it is, but stay tuned, because in one of the terminals in a couple of months, we'll set up a new facilities that best serve your interests. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Derek, in the prep room prior to this session, you had you said that you're serving many companies here in Singapore, right? So, meaning that I think you don't have your own data so much, but you're dealing with the bunch of data from your clients, right? So, but your client data is not your own. But how do you think that? What do you think about how can you help the startups better work with you guys, or better work with the big companies like them? Or do you have any how they say assistance in terms of the helping startup work with the big companies like these kind of people?
Okay, so a lot of people look at Alibaba as an e-commerce or retail or finance company. Actually, Alibaba is not this company. Alibaba is a technology company. It's a data technology company. So we run our business on internet, and we run our business on AI technology and some cutting-edge big data technology. So we would like to share this technology, not only for the internal, we share to our external partners and the enterprises. So because in the future, the new technology will disrupt the traditional industry. So you'll find for the airport, it's not a traditional business. They use a lot of cutting-edge technology, such as facial recognition, such as AI, to optimize their system, optimize their business. For retail, they also use online, offline together, and they use some facial recognition and some other. So this world is changing very fast, changed by some new technology. So this is what we are doing in China, and we would like to share with our customers in the OC market together. So different markets have different characters. We know that. We learn from the local market, but we still share our technology, share our best practice in China. So, for example, for the service 4.0, this is the future service. So the future service is the proactive service. So for Alibaba, for Taobao and Tmall, we call the 千人千面. 1,000 people has 1,000 user interface. If you open Taobao or Tmall, different people find a different interface. So the merchandise search you, not you search merchandise, because all is based in your profile, your behavior. So in the future, the customer experience is most important. How can you increase the customer experience? So we use a lot of new technology based on the data-driven. We do some user analysis according to their future behavior. and we serve them by some automatic service technology, such as we use the chatbot to serve. So every user, they don't want to make a phone call to call you to complain or raise some requirement. Usually they use open mobile app, and they can input some information, and then all the system can automatically answer. So this is the automatic system. And we also use some voice recognition to make the phone call to answer the customer call. Even for the customer, they don't realize on the other side that this is a robot, not a human. So all these can increase in the user experience. And if you look at the apps, so right now there are a lot of companies have their mobile apps. But for the small company, for the enterprise, for the entrepreneurs, if you launch some apps, but for the user, they don't want to download your app because there are too many apps installed in mobile phones. They will spend a lot of time for the low frequency. But right now, we launched out some mini program for the SaaS. Every company, small company, they can launch their sub apps under some super apps, such as for Sentosa, they have some mini program under Alipay. So for every Chinese user that come to Singapore, they open Alipay, they can find some merchant, such as an attraction, hotel. They don't need to download some hotel or some attraction. So these are the new trend for the service, for the enterprise. So in the future, Alibaba Cloud are launch some new services to embrace the change. So how can we increase the user experience? And for the enterprise, they would like to reduce the repetitive services such as customer service. So this is a very high cost. But how can you reduce the low-end services from the human beings, and can release the labor to the high-value services? So these are the enterprise are considered. So how can we increase the user experience? And in the meanwhile, we can reduce the cost for the enterprise. So this is in the future for the service point of view. So we have already accumulated some experience and practice for Alibaba Group, and we would like to share to every industry in retail, aviation, and manufacturing and garments.
Great, thank you. So we have a few minutes left, maybe. It says 1 minute, maybe, but a few minutes left, maybe. So we have some time to take some questions from the audience. So anyone wants to have a question? Anyone wants to ask them? No? Raise your hand, please. No one? Okay. So finally, let me conclude with this question. We have seen a bunch of the cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence or autonomous driving or drone, anything like that. So if you were asked to choose the one specific technology you want to deploy into your service or your business operation, which one would you like to choose, and why is that? Jayson. Very tough question for you.
If I'm greedy, I probably wouldn't just choose one. The reason why I say that is because it depends really on if I take it from the perspective of running customer operations. Is that because you do have the front of the house and you have the back of the house as well. So one is to enhance experience, the other one is really to strengthen the efficiency. So an example I can share is that I will choose autonomous technology for the back of the house because we are trying out autonomous cleaning at the airport. I mean, you have been to the airport, you know how big a space it is. So to really enhance the efficiency of upkeeping the space, right? I think autonomous cleaning, autonomous robots, those are probably technology that will fundamentally transform the work that's needed to be done at the back of the house. If you look at the front of the house, then I think a lot of the semantic analysis, the ability to do voice recognitions and biometric capability, I think that will actually transform the experience for the passengers from working one-to-one with a service staff to one that is a more robotic or automated process. So I think these two key areas of technology are probably those that I would choose if you're talking about how they will transform services in a customer-facing operations.
Derek.
Okay. I use one sentence, is technology reshape new business. So for Alibaba, we define 5 new retail, new finance, new manufacturing, and new technology, new energy. So for the new retail, it's totally different from the traditional retail. For the new finance, it's totally different from the traditional banking and insurance. So we think the technology reshape the new business, and we redefine the new business.
Finally, Chris.
So for me, it's really about data mining and CRM, like smart, intelligent CRM, because retail is not dying, but retailers who don't understand their consumers are dying. So I think this is an area that we really want to work on. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me conclude this session with this. So please round of applause to these all speakers. Thank you very much.